This next video is called The Tornado, and it's the storm that started Mayo Clinic. And this is a third grade topic. So all students in third grade, Washington and across the district, have this book, and the students listen to this towards the end of the year. Typically, we have the field trip where we get to go on a trolley and get to see different landmarks in the city. So that kind of goes with the curriculum. Unfortunately, we can't do that, but I can still read this. And I decided not to wear my onesie, just because of the topic. It's not really a fun book. It's more informative. And it's the true history of how the Mayo Clinic in Rochester kind of became. So my name is Dr. Will Mayo. I graduated from medical school not too long ago. My younger brother, Charlie, is studying to be a doctor too. Our father is the best doctor in Rochester, Minnesota. His name is Dr. William Mayo. The three of us work together. We make a good team. One summer afternoon in 1883, Charlie and I needed to run an errand to the butcher shop north of town. Father was making a house call for a sick patient, so we closed the office and climbed into our buggy. Before we reached the butcher shop, it began to rain hard. We were close to the blacksmith shop, so we took shelter there quickly. Charlie was puzzled. The train doesn't come for another 3 hours. So you might have heard that tornadoes sound like a train, like a freight train. That's the observation he made. Why do I hear it now? But it was no train. We looked out the window and to the west. As the roar grew louder, suddenly a big black funnel cloud dropped out of the sky in front of us. It was a huge tornado. So if we think it came from the west, so if you're in the middle of town, like in Washington, it would be towards Cinemagic, it'd be towards Costco, it'd be towards the athletic club. In that direction is where the storm came from. Charlie and I ran out of the blacksmith shop just as the wind tore off the roof of the building. We jumped into our buggy and headed home at full gallop. As always, we worked as a team. My brother watched the funnel cloud chasing us while I kept my eyes on the road and drove. Moments after we crossed the Zumbro River, the tornado tore the bridge into a million pieces. Charlie watched the twister suck the water out of the river. He could see fish flying through the air. Charlie liked to make up stories, but this time he wasn't fibbing. By the time we got back to town, the tornado had changed direction and disappeared. The storm was over, but the damage to Rochester was terrible. Many people were hurt. The injured were brought to Romal Hall, a place that we usually used for dances or parties. Now we were going to use it as a hospital. Sorry if I pronounced this wrong, maybe somebody knows that one. When Father arrived at Romal Hall, he began taking care of all the hurt people. Charlie and I helped him, but there was just too many injured for the three of us to care for all at once. We needed more help. We needed it fast. Father knew just what he had to do. He sent a message to his friend, Mother Elfred. Mother Elfred was the head of a group of sisters of St. Francis in Rochester. They taught school in town. Father's message to Mother Elfred was that he needed nurses right away. He asked if the sisters could help. "We have never taken care of sick people before," said Mother Elfred, "but of course, we are willing to help." The sisters were good listeners and did exactly what was asked for them to do. They turned out to be excellent nurses. We all worked together as a team. Eventually, everyone got better and returned to their homes. We were ready to leave the dance hall and go back to seeing patients in our little office in town. But wait a minute, Dr. Mayo, said Mother Alfred. I think we have learned something from this experience. We need a real hospital in Rochester. Father looked discouraged. It's a big job. You need money to build the hospital, land to put the building on, and people that know how to run it. We don't have any of those things. Charlie wasn't as polite as Father. Build a hospital in Rochester? You might as well try to build a machine that can fly. We'll get everything we need, Dr. Mayo, Mother Alfred assured him. And when we do, will you and your sons work with us at the hospital? Father thought for a moment. Yes, he said softly. We'll be part of your team. During the next 4 years, the sisters did everything they could to raise money. They taught music lessons, they knitted scarves and sweaters to sell. They grew their own food and sold the jams and preserves they made. Soon they had enough money to buy a big piece of land west of the city. The sisters decided to name their new hospital St. Mary's. So if we think of Broadway and Center Street, that's kind of the middle of town. So St. Mary's is to the west of it, just like the tornado was to the west. You should see how hard Mother Alfred is working, Charlie told everyone. She's putting up the bricks all by herself. This time Charlie was telling a tall tale, but one thing was true. The sisters were a strong and determined team. When St. Mary's Hospital opened, my father was in charge of all the doctors and I worked with him. The sisters ran the hospital and worked as nurses. Charlie finished medical school and joined us, and we formed the Mayo Clinic. Soon, more doctors began working with us. Our little practice grew quickly. Over the years, Mayo Clinic and St. Mary's have become among the biggest and the most famous hospitals in the world. Charlie said, when people work together as a team, they can do just about everything. This time, he's telling the absolute truth. And if we think of this sentence right now, it's got a lot of meaning in 2020 as well. When people work together as a team, they can do just about anything. Thanks for listening.